You probably don't need me to tell you that 2025 was a wild ride of a roller coaster. Shit's been hitting the fan since 2020, and it's pretty easy to see only the bad. But if you're willing to join me over the next few minutes, I'd like to share with you things that, for me, made it just a bit more bearable. Because actually, 2025 had some freaking bangers, man. Friends, mutuals, subscribers that are probably bored enough to click this, welcome back to yet another annual video of me just yapping about things that I've enjoyed this year. And seriously, there have been so many sleeper hits. But without further ado, how could I not talk about Silksong? I was one of those people who played Hollow Knight and wasn't miffed about it, so I wrote off Silksong as just another one of those games that people were waiting for just for the sake of it. Sure, Hollow Knight was fun and all, but other than that unique, polished art style and gameplay, I just wasn't ready to die on the hill that is one of the greatest games of all times. And you know what? I was right. Hollow Knight is mediocre as fuck, compared to the masterpiece that is Hollow Knight's Silksong. Mind you, it took a few hours for me to realize that, but it was after spending an entire hour pogoing my way up these fucking red ball things and avoiding as much enemies as I could so I could make it to this specific battle, and finally defeating the onslaught of enemies that made me notice that I was captivated by this modern day magic that Ari Gibson committed to the craft of making. There is genuine genius at play here. From the movement mechanics making you feel like Spider-Man, all the way down to the beautiful, majestic, lovely, immaculate, I could go on all day with this, seriously impressive visuals that accompanies your gameplay. Every strike you make, be it on an enemy or just midair on your now platform, feels so satisfying to achieve. Now, I know it's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. But it's something that you have to feel for yourself to understand. Watching this game does not do it justice. And while I could glaze Silksong all day, I wanted to actually use it as a jumping off point to talk about Mina the Hollower. I need you to understand that the thing that got me into, quote, gaming as a whole was a dusty little laptop that my mother used to own. I would pack the thing up with Pokemon emulators and Nintendo 64 games that I'd occasionally start up and stop. But the thing that truly got me into the ebb and flow of entertainment was The Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. A game that beforehand I would only play off and on, but one bored afternoon I took it upon myself to give it an actual try. And since then I've been chasing the dragon of enlightenment from that moment on. So something in me mended the past and the new as I've seen Mina the Hollower appear to me. Those Game Boy-esque visuals recalling my past, the punishing combat that reminded me of my fondness for challenging games, and the elevated charm just pulled me into trying the demo. And ever since then, it's given me an itch that Silksong didn't fully scratch for me. It's such a simplistic game, but the ability to both dig underground and jump to avoid enemies and obstacles, this beautiful presentation and art style, along with the snarky dialogue that I just adore from anthropomorphic critters that rip expectations to high ends, kept me in a perfect blend of both excitement and curiosity. The vertical slice from the demo that I played was just long enough to get me to appreciate the difficulty, movement mechanics, and the story that looks like it's going to be a wild ride. And if I ever could find the time to put down Silksong when it comes out, there's no doubt that it's going to be one of my favorites. Whenever it comes out of hiatus. I'll keep this one brief since everyone and their mothers know about Deltarune, but chapters 3 and 4 released this year and I cannot put into words properly enough how the emotional roller coaster in these games have sent me on a trip. The loop of going from one of the funniest dialogues that I've probably had in gaming to exploring the depths of these characters that I've grown to know and love is Toby Fox's specialty, and this installment is nothing short of incredible. I just can't wait to see what fun and sadness awaits me at the end of the game's eventual conclusion as all these storylines connect and coalesce. Both the music and the visuals were nothing short of incredible, and it really makes me wonder how far Toby's gonna push this series that I once thought was really sweet, but am now growing more and more attached for better or worse. If you haven't heard of it somehow, or if you've been avoiding it due to the unique fan base, we'll say, let me tell you, it has fans for a reason, and you should at the very least look into it if it's even the slightest bit interesting to you. You are being lied to. Friends, family members, your neighbor, especially people you don't know, are the scum of the earth. And the only way to completely be sure is by ending their life. Or hell, maybe you should just believe them. I'm not exaggerating when I say one of my favorite games of all times isn't something you plug into a TV, nor is it a thing that even requires the minuscule amounts of movements that it takes to just talk to another person. And it is just talking to another person. Multiple, in fact. Which should say a lot, considering I'm too shy to even call my mom sometimes.
They know my voice, they'll know me. Please, you gotta do it for me, I'm begging you.
I've made a video about Mafia before, and while the content in it has aged well enough, I don't think I explored the depths of just how exhilarating it is to work with only wit, psychoanalysis, and perhaps a bit of your own lying for good measure, for days on end. And it seriously left a hole in my heart that not being able to do it for the better part of a decade could not fill with anything else. Danganronpa, Ace Attorney, any detective show you can think of just does not compare to actually being the detective yourself. But finally, after months of begging people I barely even know, I managed to get 16 people to participate in a game of Mafia. A game that took place over 20 real-life days of people pinning everyone against each other to find one goal. Figure out which 4 players are lying to you, and which 11 are actually on your side. And now that it's concluded, I lost by the way. Most everyone lost, but still, it was really fun. But anyway, now that it's over, I've gotten a taste for blood. I want and need more. If you, yes you, don't fucking pretend like I'm not actually talking to you. If you're hearing my voice right now, I'm literally talking to you. Seriously, for you, if you are interested in a mildly, moderately engaging game to check every few hours to socially analyze the people around you at your own pace and put your social awareness, mental deductive capabilities, and paranoia to the test, let me know. DM me, leave me a comment, hell, even call me. But I'm dead serious when I say that this game will change the way you think. It'll change the way that you process lying and how you perceive others who are trying to deceive you. Just, let me know. And if I'm being too pushy, I'm sorry. If you like the ethereal music that has been going on in the background of this video, you've been listening to the genius musician Chime, a producer from the UK. He tends to mix heavy melodic sounds with soothing tones for some otherworldly outputs. Even though he's a future bass/dubstep musician, tries to change up the bass drop in as creative a way as imaginable. He's quite possibly one of the only EDM artists that I can think of to show to other people who aren't into electronica because some of his songs barely fit into that genre that he tends to make music of. The powerful flow can lead you into one feeling as the drop pulls you into a devious trap of locking you into the rhythm expertly crafted. I was planning on featuring a tiny interview that I had with him on a video about the appeal of rhythm games, but it's currently being worked on, so keep on the lookout for that in the future if you're interested. Timonite, on the other side of that coin, also likes to take their drops to hypnotic levels. They're a melodic dubstep creator, but likes to blend other sounds so they can seriously reach unexpected emotional heights. The song, Yours, takes what you would expect. Heavy bass to pump the rhythm and smooth vocals to make a captivating melody. But suddenly... oh yeah, that right there, that fucking trumpet dude, what the fuck? Instant chills, as from that moment on, each instrument in the song controls a different part of your brain, lighting up your soul from the inside out. I probably put 100 views on this song alone, and if you're curious enough to add to that view count, links in the description. There have been no shortage of incredible anime releasing this year. Dandadan came back with a beautiful season 2. Gacha Yakuta stole the show with stylized shonen. Dr. Stone is beginning to wrap up 5 years of twists and turns of a narrative that's been taken. Apothecary Diaries, Kaiju number 8, My Hero, I guess, My Hero Again, and many, many, many more. All bringing their A-game to produce the best possible adaptations they can. But while sequels and genre favorites are nice, To Be Hero X has gotta be one of the weirdest sleeper hits out there. Originally a Chinese donghua, To Be Hero X will take you on a roller coaster between 10 different heroes that make up a council of a top 10 in a society where popularity and exposure defines you and your power. And while the superhero trope felt like it had nowhere else to go, as the big screen and anime had dug that concept into the ground, Hero X takes the approach often not seen, as it flips the idea of heroes being for the people and that relationship between those in power and those that want power from it. It's told from an anthology sort of perspective at first. You see many different heroes and get an idea of how they came to be before the ultimate chaotic finality takes place with each character you thought you knew, bringing them from high highs to low lows, and vice versa. Who is this guy that's all over the intro? I don't fucking know. It's 25 episodes in. Still don't know who he is. He's all over the outro, though. Or farms like a boss. If you're anything like me, you've noticed that YouTube has been lowering in quality little by little, until the boiling point is all but noticeable. While at first the algorithm at least knew how to find some interesting things for me here and there, it's now leaned in heavily into the most polarizing and extreme takes, along with the most sparse sprinkling of content that I used to love. This allowing the current meta to be overrun by sycophants and narcissists that believe that their opinions are absolute. So while at work, I've been listening to audiobooks instead. And now I know religion isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I gotta talk about Bart Ehrman's Misquoting Jesus. It's not what you think at all. If you have a passing curiosity of Christianity's origins, speculations about how Christianity forms in its early years, or even have questions about authors of the New Testament, Misquoting Jesus takes a very well-researched and somewhat neutral tone on the biblical narrative outside of the Bible itself. Each chapter brings you to a new understanding of Greek and Hebrew writing that the layman, such as myself, just wouldn't be able to get without years of biblical manuscript study. It's super engaging and easy to follow, and whether you're Christian or not, if you're into history, you'll get a ton of unique info about one of the world's most prolific anthologies, the Bible. Humanity never changes. Even after hundreds of years, you can see that the world has devolved further due to an incessant need to making itself bigger and badder. But it's not your job to worry about all that. You are a replicant mind of a human that died over 100 years ago, and your mission is to find planets habitable for the human population. And your training begins now. There are a few series that makes me both furious and satisfied at the same time, but Dennis E. Taylor's We Are Bob, We Are Legion achieves just that. And most of his books tend to be about humanity at different stages of their spacefaring journey, dealing with what happens when technology outgrows us. Like his book The Singularity Trap being about the first transhuman and his mission to guide humanity to technological freedom. In the aforementioned Bob series, taking place with a human too aware of his own humanity, yet stuck in a metal mind being surrounded by people who, themselves, paradoxically want to destroy rather than build. Taylor often has a way of breaking down humanity to their harmful side at a collective scale, while rebuilding that back up upon them and focusing on the humanity that comes from the individual. A thing that ironically comes to the forefront as a single individual, Bob, is able to clone himself and become a peacemaking legion unto himself, and a humanity that is harmful to themselves as they are to others that aren't a part of their mini collective herds that humanity has found themselves into. I'm trying really hard not to get into any spoilers, and while I can't promise that it's everyone's sense of humor since it's very focused on 2000s/90s pop culture, which I personally roll my eyes at every time. If you're into the idea of spacefaring humanity, still dealing with shit that we see on TV about division and superiority, checking it out can't be a bad option, right? That's all I got for now. I'm gonna keep this one short so I can have it edited by December. And to force myself to act upon that, instead of being lazy, today is November 16th, 1:14 p.m., Sunday, 2025. I'm fucked. Anyway, thank you all for watching it to the end. I'm starting to realize how fortunate I am that so many people are here to listen to me yapping for the entire video. Thank you again for coming out, and I love you. Hope things are going well. Have a good one, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow.